Alright, so the other day, yeah, a few weeks ago more likely, I was kind of joking around about drones and little remote control, types that average people can use that have cameras and stuff on them, and talk about the Bilderberg meeting coming up, and the Webbot talked about, well, it didn't necessarily say Bilderberg meeting, but it just said their globalist elite will be meeting somewhere, and they're going to basically leave early because of the pressure that the people put on them. And some of that I think said something about, like, with technology, like what I thought would be like a little mini drone. That's the way I interpreted it. And they have these little, what they call quadcopters, which all that means is there's 4 propellers in each corner, thus quadcopter. And they're quite stable. They're very maneuverable, unlike some of the earlier stuff that was out there, like a regular helicopter. And I'm talking about remote control, little, ones like this big or a little bigger. The wind comes out and you better be really good at controlling that thing, even if it's a little bit of a wind. It's so small, it gets affected so easy. So I've had a few of those smaller ones in my time. Some of them really small, like you could easily fly them indoors, and they just, when you spend 70 or 80 bucks, 90 bucks, as the old saying goes, you get what you pay for. But I just couldn't see, getting new into it, paying hundreds of dollars for a nice one, when I am, trying to learn how to fly these little dinky ones and still crashing those things. So I mentioned the other day in that video, I was like, hey, I said something like, do I got any rich Jsnip 4 subscribers? I just want to, give into the Jsnip 4, get a quadcopter fund. I was jokingly said that. I didn't, matter of fact, I had one person email me, hey, I'd pitch in for that if you want. I'm like, no. No, I'm kind of jokingly saying it, so no, appreciate you wanting to do that, but no, I'm okay, I don't need additional help or whatever. So I've been thinking about these things for a while now. I was watching some protests over in actually Turkey. They had it on YouTube. It's been there for a while, and which is interesting because I have not even heard a thing out of Turkey, like in, I don't know, almost forever. And yet there were some major protests going on there. And someone had one of these quadcopters I'm talking about. Matter of fact, it may have been the version before the one I've got now, because they just came out with this new version recently. Which is why I'm telling you this video. I went ahead and got one. And he's just flying above the whole, square, wherever this city square is, filming it. And I mean, you see the people throwing stuff, you see the cops, trying to push people back. You see them trying to shoot the gas canisters, whatever. And it's like an incredible way to film that stuff without them, being able to make you leave. You need to, as a, what you might call a citizen journalist, you have the right to film. And a lot of times the police don't care. Get the hell out of here. I'm not going to tell you again, or I'm taking you to jail. Well, no, I mean, you're not standing right in front of them when they're trying to do their job. That's one thing. But when you're, 50, 100 feet back filming, and they're still yelling at you to leave here, or I'm going to throw you in jail. Well, I got a problem with that when you're legitimately trying to, film something that's going on. You have the right to be there. You're not interfering. I mean, come on. So I thought, I've never seen anything like that over here where I live, in this area, which is Brandon, Florida, which you might as well say is Tampa. And, like I've said, I actually, I volunteer for the sheriff's office, and I really enjoy it. I enjoy the people I work with, the deputies. I'm not gonna lie, they're a bunch of good people. I mean, I've never heard of some of the crazy stuff you see on YouTube, like constantly now, in other police departments. I've never seen that kind of stuff ever, with this sheriff's office. So that's a good thing. But the reason I'm saying that is I don't know if there's gonna be much action around here to film anyways with one of these things. But as the country starts heading further down this black hole, that stuff's going to happen everywhere. There will be definitely people protesting somewhere. And if I had to guess, it's not going to be Brandon, Florida, because Brandon, Florida, we don't really have a city council. You know what I mean? We've got Hillsborough County, you know, and the commissioners and that kind of thing. So there's a little, that kind of government here, but it's not out here where I live. So where I would expect to see stuff like this would probably be somewhere in downtown Tampa. You know, you got the big bank buildings down there, just like every freaking city. And I know when they had the first go-round, I believe, or was it the second go-round? Maybe in the second go-round, when, you know, Obama and Mitt Romney and whatever, they're all coming to town. And matter of fact, I don't even know if Obama came this way. I think it might have been Mitt Romney. But they had the people from YouTube, like We Are Change, Luke Radowski. He was down here, some others, and I actually was like, man, I'd like to go down there and meet and chat with some of these guys. And I started to head down there, but I got there too late. It was already kind of closing up, and people were kind of leaving, and I had no idea where they were, so I ended up turning back around. But that's the kind of place that this kind of activity would probably happen, where I would definitely like to have a little quadcopter just to film everything. I don't need audio, and not that you're really going to hear audio anyways, because the damn blades are spinning. All you hear is the buzzing. So, but at least you can videograph what's happening, videotape what's happening. So I do remember seeing some video later on YouTube from somebody. They were young guys who were filming, getting prepared to, you know, for this event of Mitt Romney or whatever was coming to town. Police presence was pretty huge. Department of Homeland Security presence was even larger, and he was downtown Tampa filming it all, saying, "Man, look at the freaking law enforcement force down here for this stupid, you know, Republican candidate nonsense coming to town. He's not even the president yet." You know, and the amount of activity from the Department of Homeland Security was crazy. So next thing he knows, because he's filming, one of the Department of Homeland Security officers, call him back up, come down there, threaten to detain him for up to 72 hours, blah blah blah, give me your ID. He said, I don't have to. Okay, well, you do realize we can detain you for up to 72 hours if we have to. We'll figure out who you are. The kid decided, you know, I don't think it's worth it. Let me go ahead and give him my ID. They did, nothing happened, and they left. But again, it wasn't the sheriff's office. It was the federal agency, Department of Homeland Security. So, and to be honest, it was this guy that probably looked like he had no education. Hey, you want to be a Department of Homeland Security officer? Yeah, sure. Okay, here's a badge and a gun. Go have fun. No education. With this sheriff's office, you have to have a college education to even get in. So, be prepared to see some footage, some test flights of Jsnip 4 coming in the next week or so. Take care.